in lieu of tax holiday and accelerated depreciation, concessionary duty on imported machinery, avoidance of double taxation. For the last one, of course, with the country concerned, you have to have an agreement. And then there are major non-fiscal incentives as well. Remittance of royalty, technical know-how, technical assistance fee. 100% foreign equity is allowed. Unrestricted exit policy. Full repatriation facilities of dividend and capital at the end of exit. Permanent residence permit on investing US $75,000 and citizenship offer for investing US $500,000. I will also like to mention a few other points, that those countries who are interested, or the people of those countries who are interested to invest in Bangladesh, we want to encourage them through allowing them to realize foreign investment in spearheaded by one corporation of the government. Because sometimes you will ask, who will do all these things when we apply? Will we have to go from office to office? It is too time consuming and difficult. No. Now we have put in one place, called the Board of Investment, all the requirements that you have to apply for. That's the easy thing. And this is a new thing which has developed or put into place in the last 10 years. In addition, we have also started the Bangladesh Export Pricing Zones Authority. And people who want to invest in a big amount, they can start establishing their companies in those zones, enjoying all the facilities that I have just mentioned. For information, Korean companies altogether has a special Korean economic zone in Bangladesh already. So a European Union economic zone can be done if all the member countries decide in favor of that dream. And then I would like to mention about what will the expansion zone offer in a nutshell. Plots or factory buildings in custom bonded area, infrastructural facilities, administrative facilities, fiscal and non-fiscal incentives, and they also attract foreign and local investment, which is already present there. You will not be the first. They've already attracted. And out of those investment, there are three types. One is 100% foreign ownership. We have 174 companies already. Then we have joint venture. We have 39 companies. And 100% local venture from our side, 70 companies. So if somebody wants more information, they can go to the website www.epzbangladesh.org.bd and find many more information. Now let's talk about some other things which are very, very important when you're considering Bangladesh as your investment target. First will be our unique geography, which deserves special attention. We have access to the sea, as mentioned, the Bay of Bengal, and through it to the Indian Ocean, and have neighbors with whom we lived through history. Our rivers flow from our upper reaches, involving multiple countries, which means that we are wedded to the inevitability of cooperation, securing equitable and sustainable arrangements with our neighbors. I just wanted to inform for people who are not clear about our geography. India is on three sides of Bangladesh. In the west, in the north, and some portion of the northeast. And then in the east you have the country called Myanmar. It was previously known as Burma. And in the south, as I mentioned, it is the Bay of Bengal. Now try to picture it. And that's why when I mention neighbors, then you'll have a right picture. To have with our neighbors a win-win future arrangement, we have to dictate by a quest for better knowledge and management of the riverine resources based on equitable and sustainable relationships amongst co-sharers of a common basin. Why do we call ourselves a riverine country? We have more than 300 rivers. We are situated in the Ganges Jamuna Delta. Jamuna is also known as Brahmaputra. Ganges comes from the Himalayas, the famous Himalayas, which has the Everest. And the Brahmaputra comes from the Tibet. Tibet is a part of China now, as you know. So these are mighty rivers, and we are a delta. Over centuries we have been created. Bangladesh has been created through the siltation. So that's why we are talking about using or sharing the common basin. So this is for people who doesn't know about the geography of Bangladesh. I just wanted to mention this thing. Secondly, the shape and geomorphological attributes of our coastline warrants the settlement of competing interests with states sharing the Bay of Bengal. Our rights in maritime resources beyond our land borders are governed by international law. We are aware that our access to the sea and its resources merit comprehensive cooperation, political, financial, and technical, whether these be the exploration, exploitation, and management of maritime resources with adjacent states. We are confident that, based on international law and the political environment we have been able to create in the region, Bangladesh will equitably, justly share the resources to which she is entitled. Why do we make this statement? Because for the same maritime zone, there are three contenders. You can easily understand. First is our country, Bangladesh, and to share with India and Burma, Myanmar. That's why we mentioned about this point. Third, our government is aware that Bangladesh is not endowed with unbounded natural resources, that it is an arduous task to grow our economy by relying primarily on exploiting our own natural resources. Our objective, therefore, is to secure cheap raw material and markets for our products by participating in a competitive economic world order in the best manner we can. Because many people ask me as ambassador that what natural resources, ambassador, you have in Bangladesh. We have gas, and since we have not a lot of gas, but since we have a good amount, I will not say excellent amount, there is possibility of us getting oil. And that's why many international companies are interested to come and try to locate new gas fields and source of oil, number one. Number two, we have very, very high quality bituminous coal. Even when I talk to engineers from Germany, they say that the coal that you have, it is far better than the type of coal lignite that we have in Germany, 3 times better or 2.5 times better than us. So if you utilize them correctly, you will make a future or a fortune. So coal, we are endowed with a large source of coal and high quality. We call it bituminous. It's not peat or lignite, which is the inferior variety. We have limestone, and we also have coral islands. And I have already mentioned that we have beautiful tea gardens. We have a small hilly region, I will not say a very big mountainous region, in the Chittagal hill tracts and in Sylhet, where we grow tea. In both places we grow tea. And if you ask what else do we have in the Bay of Bengal a large resource of fish, sea fish, and other seafoods. So we are also exporting frozen fish and frozen seafood to Europe and the West. So these are our main resources. And nowadays we are also exporting ceramics even to markets in Europe. When you go to John Lewis and other big supermarkets in Britain, you will find that there are very famous Chinaware manufactured in Bangladesh by Shine Pukur, Bengal Ceramics, PC Ceramics, and of course Munnu Ceramic. They have their showrooms and everything, especially in Britain. I am now encouraging them to come to Middle Europe, Central Europe. So we are doing fine in that respect as well. But considering the big population, I will not say that we have abundant amount of resources. We have limited resources. Fourth, the size and economic strength also matter our foreign policy operations. With an area of 147,000 square kilometers, and an estimated population of 162 million, Bangladesh is one of the most densely populated countries in the world. Notwithstanding, the average GDP growth rate has ranged between 5 and 7% during the past decade. The credit for this must go to the people who, in the face of unrepresentative and unresponsive governments in the past, have performed so well, demonstrating resilience against odds. Why we say so? Because from time to time, there were political changes who were not very conducive to the need of the people. And most of the people in Bangladesh are still engaged in the farming sector, in agriculture. And then secondly, in small and medium enterprises or industries. So, since our economic growth is almost 6%, we have to thank the farmers and the industry workers for withstanding the pressure of the political changes and producing such a good economic growth. That's why we wanted to mention that. Fifthly, our foreign policy recognizes our enormous human resource, both of resilience against odds and of maximization of potential, and commits itself to marine capital and foreign direct investments to create more employment, enlarging our economic activities, including an increase in the quantity and quality of our exports. In this regard, the legal regime we have created for the promotion and protection of foreign investments, of the rights to property, of taxation and equal protection under the law is as good as any other in the region. We don't compare ourselves all of a sudden with the developed West. We try to compare ourselves with the region. And I also want to share with you, in the region from 1985, we have started the initiative or the association called SAARC, South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, SAARC. And it has its economic side called SAFTA. And we do a lot of economic cooperation under the banner of SAFTA and encourage trading. And we are even promoting the idea of having across the border business plus movement of people like you have in Europe now after struggling for more than 50 years. You have achieved the free movement of people and goods. We want to achieve that eventually with the target of having a single currency. But we have just started in 1985 and European Union started in the 50s. So it will take time, but it is a part of our dream. Next is our response to the scourge of terrorism, which is a very important thing nowadays, and violent extremism is total and comprehensive. We have declared that we will counter terrorism, international and national, in all its forms. We have committed ourselves to zero tolerance and have dedicated our resources of men and material. To serve this end, we have ushered in a new era of cooperation with our large neighbor, that is India, and with whom we share a long, continuous and porous border, as I have just mentioned. Our Prime Minister, Sheikh Hasina, even proposed the formation of a regional task force in South Asia to fight terrorism. We have taken several measures to set that process into motion. Internationally, beyond South Asia, Bangladesh sees the many merits of engaging with all countries to combat terrorism and violence on and from its soil. I just want to add with this that Bangladesh is the provider of the largest number of peacekeepers around the globe, within bracket with Pakistan. These two countries are the provider of the largest number at a time of peacekeeping forces, both from the army and the police, both in uniform as well as without, weapons in case of some observer missions. Largest, at a time more than sometimes 12,000 soldiers or peacekeepers. So that is another thing, and that shows not only that we are making a commitment, that we have already started serving, and it didn't start only yesterday, but the last decade we are doing that. Seventh is the continuous degradation of the global climate, another very important topic, and the imminent danger it spells for Bangladesh has moved our elected government to pursue our right